massive off there on the inside on the entrance to that turn. But now he's going to get on the gas here as he comes down the line. Is it going to be enough for Minnaar to take the lead here?
See the red.
It's going to be close. Minnaar goes past it. 1.22. Oh my goodness. Minnaar leads in Vallisole.
V10 before was a race-proven winning bike. But, you know, we're trying to push the boundaries, we're trying to go faster, we're trying to improve things. So now it was time to, you know, go back to the drawing board and recreate a whole new V10, which is hopefully going to be the fastest bike out there.
So after Snowshoe we caught up with the engineers, Nick and Aaron and Kieran, and sort of chatted through where we're at with the current bike.
The big initial thing is getting a lot of feedback from the Syndicate, you know, things that they don't like or they'd like to see improved, issues that they have, primarily focusing on what we could change. But also focus on like what they really like about the bike.
Well, you know, the V10 we're currently racing was the best V10 we've had. It could improve. You know, we've gone through different linkages to, you know, firm up the rear end and have a more linear rear end. I think we'd push the limit on that, and also the sizing and geometry of the bike.
The old bike generated speed really well. You could pump it and get speed and momentum out of the bike. It also cornered really well. Those are two things that we really wanted to hold on to and build on for this next bike.
I did feel the pressure because it was like, we got to make the best bike out of this.
Yeah, we all worked together to make a bike that the Syndicate is stoked on. So we tested a lot of these, I would call them mid-pivot idler bikes. And yeah, I think we learned a decent amount testing those bikes, and we learned what we liked and didn't like and tried to isolate the axle path as part of that. My goal was to have more traction for the amount of support that the bike makes. I would say that was the #1 goal.
They've made us 2 bikes, which is very kind of them.
Having an in-house fabrication facility is awesome. They can make a mule in a week if they need to.
We have a selection of tubing that we use, so it's all in aluminum. It gets fabricated here. We make like essentially like a 2D drawing. We lay it out, it gets tacked, welded. We heat treat it in-house. And then, well, before we ride it, we generally like put it together, measure it, make sure it's actually what we intended it to be. And then pretty much it goes straight, getting parts hung on it. And usually we'll like do like shakedown runs, more local. That might also say like, oh, we should make some extra plates with some different progressions. Just try to have everything we possibly need before we actually travel with the bike.
You've got a great bike to bounce off, so I'm interested to see where Kieran and the guys have directed this bike. But I'm confident it's going to be in a pretty good place.
Mule A version 1. This is the one that's the continuation, evolution of the current bike. The same platform, it's still VPP. It's just sort of, like I said before, addressed a few of the things that we sort of didn't like so much about it. Like the current bike's a little bit soft off the top, so it kind of seems to sit in a little bit. So this has got a bit more support at the beginning. Kind of like a continuation as well of that Silver Link we were running last year.
Yeah, shit, it's fast. It's going to be impressive. That other bike's better than that.
You have to try and go back to back, and you know, it's so important to have the same test track, same lines, same pace. And we've got times ready, so we can kind of see if one was quicker than the other.
The overall summary was incredible. This bike can win races today. Big words for first run on the new bike. Good work, boys.
We kind of started with an open mind. The rearward axle path idler bike that we were working on is also a VPP bike. We were pretty open to the idea of it being a possibility and a route that we would go down.
So just getting this one ready for Greg now because we've ridden all the options of Mule A. So we're just getting mule B ready.
It's so different, but when you're going slow and like it's a lot smoother, but I don't know, I find it just really deep in the travel all the time.
And the biggest differentiator was the fatigue. You know, I found on a high pivot bike the fatigue was incredible, where the VPP, although it felt kind of rough and harsh, especially the race bike, it's such a rigid bike, there was a lot less fatigue in it.
Like in some ways, the idler idea is new and exciting, but we're not looking to chase something that doesn't translate to the performance of the bike. Like that's the goal, is to have the best performing bike.
I mean, the high pivot felt great. I mean, it feels like you're using all the suspension and all the time, but I honestly felt like in a straight line, when you feel so smooth and that everything's working so well that your time's going to be a lot quicker, and there was not one section where it was quicker.
After it was decided that we were going to do a standard low pivot VPP design, the next task was to basically refine that as much as we could. For us, that meant working on the braking. The anti-rise was a big part of that, making the bike brake as good as it could, and then making final tweaks to the leverage curve to get what we want out of the bike. We are at Windrock Bike Park testing V10 8 mules. We're trying to make it feel as good as possible on like a World Cup style track, which is the main reason why we are here. We feel like these trails are pretty dang close to what you'd come across in at a World Cup race.
Kieran's great. I mean, he was a great racer. He's a super fast rider, and he really knows what he's talking about and feeling. So having someone like that behind the scenes doing a bunch of testing is so helpful.
We want the bike to ride high in its travel but remain active, I think, is like a big goal for this one. This is likely the last mule that we'll make before approving everything and going into production, or at least making the carbon molds for the bike.
I think it's still going to be the Santa Cruz, but you're going to feel like I think there's going to be a lot more consistency through the range of travel and how the bike handles.
I think particularly for this bike, it comes down to small percentage changes. Because it is a World Cup bike going to be raced by the best athletes, I feel like it's more important to really explore the small changes to make sure it's as good as we can make it.
And that's kind of refreshing to hear from a rider that these guys were not really worried about anything but making the best bike.